Hi, I'm Beth with American Patchwork and Quilting, and welcome to the fourth tips video in our Blast from the Past Mystery Sampler. We're counting down to American Patchwork and Quilting's 30th anniversary with this mystery sampler that features one block from each year of our history. So this month we're releasing 2 blocks, and we're working with some small pieces as well as 1/8 inch measurements this month. So I have some tips for both of those. First, let's chat about working with small pieces. So you want to choose your fabrics carefully when you're working with small pieces. Large-scale prints, novelty prints, prints with a lot of colors may not look right once they've been cut down to a small size and pieced together. For my house block, I wanted to add some fun little accents in the windows, and I was considering some different prints. And I knew that the spider web, I could basically take about any of that section and it would still look good. I loved these little pumpkins, but the scale of those is just a little bit too big for my narrow little piece that I'm going to have. So the bats and the spider webs will work great for that. Next, size down your tools. So you can consider switching out your regular tools for smaller ones like rulers, rotary cutters, irons, and mats. These will just help handle those smaller pieces a little bit more delicately. Another thing you can try is starching your fabrics. So starch just makes your fabric a little stiffer and helps keep its shape a little bit more. So that really helps you cut and sew those small pieces a little bit easier. So it's really easy to use. You just spray on, press, and then you can cut your pieces. When you're getting ready to sew, you might want to adjust your stitch length. Because we have really small pieces, there's not a lot of fabric for the stitches to catch. So if you shorten your stitch length just a little bit, then your stitches will catch the fabric a little bit more often to hold them tight. And I always recommend double checking that seam allowance before you get started, because any variation in seam allowance will add up really quickly with all these seams. When working with small pieces, I always like to use a leader strip as well. That way you can have that start on the leader strip and get a smooth start onto your small pieces. And if you find yourself having a little hard time feeding these through with your fingers, you can try a stiletto. This gives you a nice amount of grip on your piece, and you can get it nice and close to that presser foot so you can feed it through really nicely and evenly. On block 10, we have some sizes to cut that are a little less common because they're in 1/8 inch measurements. They might sound hard to cut, but really they're not. Most quilting rulers are marked with a line every 1/8 inch, but double check yours before using these tips. So for 7/8 inch measurements, I know that's going to be 1 line smaller than the full inch measurement. So for this block, we're cutting a 7/8 inch. So I would line it up with the 1 and then slide it back 1 mark, and that's going to be our 7/8 inch measurement. So this is helpful to do when you're first starting out, measuring those 1/8 inch measurements. Once you get used to it, you can go right to that 7/8. You'll know right where it is. So for 3/8 and 5/8 inches, I know from my grade school math that 1/2 is equal to 4/8. So I use that to know where to line up. So I use the 1/2 inch line. So we are measuring 1 5/8 on this block. So I know that's going to be 1 dash larger than 1/2 because that's 4/8. Now we've got 5/8. So if I'm going to do a 1 5/8, then I just know it's 1 mark larger than the 1/2 inch. Similarly for 3/8, that would be 1 mark smaller than the 1/2. Now you could also do this with the 1/4 inch line and the 3/4 inch line, but I always find that that 1/2 inch line is just a little easier to find for me. If you have a lot of 1/8 inch cuts to make, you can mark your ruler with a piece of blue painter's tape or washi tape, something like that. That is a great visual reminder of exactly where you need to line up, and you only need to figure out the measurement once. If you're still having trouble, it really could be your ruler. I definitely find some brands are a little easier to read than others. So good idea to go to your store, take a look at a few brands and see which one looks easiest for you to read. This one is especially nice because it has the 1/8 inch measurements marked. It's got some 1/4 inches, so that might be something that could be really helpful if you have trouble measuring those 1/8 inch increments. And if all else fails, you can just count the lines, remembering that each one is 1/8 inch. I wanted to give one specific tip on block 9. When you're making your triangle squares, you want to make sure that you're cutting your square vertically and horizontally first, rather than cutting on that drawn diagonal line, which I found was very easy to just do without thinking, because that's what we usually do. I did that when I first made it, and then I thought I had to re-sew the block, but luckily you don't. It's easily fixable. You can just cut the resulting triangles in half and it's fine. I really like the striking 2-color design of block 9. So here's my Halloween version using the Late October collection by Sweetwater for Moda Fabrics. And then this second block I made with 2 colors of Moda Bella Solids, which is so pretty. For block 10, it's so fun to customize the windows and doors. So here's my Halloween house using the Late October collection again. And I added some spooky touches with the cobwebs and bats in the windows using the Too Cute to Spook collection by Me and My Sister Designs, also for Moda Fabrics. I made a second version using the Decorum line by Basic Gray for Moda Fabrics, and I used this really fun kind of filigree design for the windows. It kind of reminds me of decorative ironwork, and of course I love this funky print for the side. I can't wait to see how you customize your house blocks. Share them with us in our private Facebook group or on Instagram with the hashtag APQ Blast from the Past. Happy sewing!